So a couple weeks ago, I posted this video of me flying my airplane into Oshkosh.
Cherokee, start that turn now direct to the purple dot. Direct to the purple dot, you clear to land on the yellow dot.
And at this point, I'm responding to the controller's instructions to proceed direct to the purple dot and land on the yellow dot.
Skyhawk south of the tower, start your descent.
Head into the purple dot, land on the yellow dot. That is south 40 in front.
Right. Keep that aircraft off your left side. You're going to go the skinny
All
runway.
right, gas, undercarriage, mixture, props, seatbelts and switches.
Yeah, Moni Lima Victor, only just widen out a little bit. Keep that other aircraft off your left side. You're going to go the skinny runway.
The yellow dot's about halfway down the runway.
Over the purple, proceed all the way for the purple, over the yellow dot, clear to land. Cessna on the funnel, you're going to land on the yellow dot on the left side, yellow dot, clear to land. Cherokee crossing the highway, it's going to be runway 36 left, yellow dot, clear to land. For that Mooney, you're staying on the right side. It's going to be the red square on the right side.
Can any of you see what's wrong with this picture? A few people in the comments did. How about now? Today I am in Eugene, Oregon, home of the Oregon Ducks, which explains some of the decor in this hotel room. Also home to the founding of a pretty famous shoe company that was founded by the track coach at that university. I'll leave it up to you to figure out who that is. As you may know, during Oshkosh I posted 3 videos. The first one was a video covering the process of how to fly in and do the visual arrival there into the air show. And then I did a follow-up video the next day following me actually flying that arrival into the airport. And then I filmed another video flying out at the end of the show. So those videos got, quite a bit of views and quite a few comments. The vast majority very positive comments. But I had a couple people that pointed out something to me that they considered a pretty big error on my part flying in there. At first, I wasn't sure if they were accurate and maybe we had 2 different perspectives on it. So I took a deeper dive on it. Also got some ADS-B tracking data to kind of see all the flights going in. Turns out I did make a huge error. Not only was it an error, but it was an error that could have been extremely dangerous, could have been pretty tragic in the end. So I thought it was very important that I take a deep dive into exactly what I did wrong to make sure that no one else makes that same mistake. So I'm going to walk us through the process of me flying in there, show you where I made my mistake, what could have happened as a result of that, and hopefully we all learn from that mistake as well. So before I get started digging into the video, I want to make one point abundantly clear. As the pilot in command of my aircraft, I assume absolute, full, and total responsibility for any mistakes that I make along the way. There was some confusion and there's a variety of factors that led to that. But ultimately, it's up to me as the pilot in command of the aircraft to know where I'm at, what I'm doing, where I should and should not be. I'll talk about some calls that controllers made that may have led to a little bit of confusion. I'm absolutely not putting any blame whatsoever on those controllers. They do an outstanding job and I have nothing but the utmost respect for what they do. You have to understand that they're on the ground looking at airplanes, and their vantage point on that aircraft is not the same as 2 aircraft sitting on the ground side by side or looking at the side profile of an airplane. They're looking at an airplane that's about 1,800 feet above them. They're seeing the bottom of the airplane. Sometimes they're seeing the aircraft that's in a turn. And so some features on 2 different aircraft can look similar from those angles. So it's not uncommon, and I talked about this in a previous video. When they call you out on the ground as you're flying into Oshkosh, they're going to call you out by kind of the shape of the aircraft, right? They might call you a low-wing Piper or a high-wing Cessna, or you'll hear them reference RV type. And there's a point where there's 2 different aircraft that are not both RVs, but they look very similar, especially from that vantage point. So as the pilots in the aircraft, we have to know where we're at and have a good idea if they're talking to you or they're talking to a different aircraft. And it usually becomes pretty clear. And then they'll usually do things if there's any confusion to kind of confirm that. And that's why we wag our wings when they make the call out and things like that. So I want to make it absolutely clear I am not putting any blame whatsoever on any controllers or any other pilots in any other aircraft for any of the mistakes that I ultimately made regardless of any factors that contributed to that confusion. This is my responsibility to, again, know where I'm at and know where I should or should not be and control my aircraft. My hat off to the controllers for the amazing job that they do every year in Oshkosh. They're fantastic. Can't thank them enough. So let's take a look into the video. So I'm going to start the video with my aircraft just passing over the town of Ripon in the long conga line, approaching Fisk. And at Fisk, that's where the controllers send some aircraft to the east to land on the north-south runway, and some aircraft will continue up the railroad tracks on a northeast heading, and they'll enter in for a downwind to runway 27. A few aircraft I'd like you to pay special attention to. My tail number, you'll see it on screen, is November 15600. That's my aircraft. Directly behind me is a Mooney with a tail that starts with the Lima Victor, LV. And you'll hear the controller call him out a few different times as Mooney Lima Victor. In front of me is a Cessna 182, a high wing airplane that I'm following, and that's November 58653. And directly in front of him, after we all make the turn to head to the east out of Fisk, is November 2884 X-ray. You'll see it designated as a PA-28. That is a Piper Cherokee. So pay attention to those aircraft and the positions and where they're at. I'll stop the video at a few different places and kind of talk about what's happening on screen, what's going on in my head, and we'll progress through it that way. So as we're coming in out of Ripon on our way to Fisk, I'm listening to what's going on the radio ahead. And in my head, what I'm trying to do is kind of build an idea of what aircraft I'm going to be following as I hear them make turns in different directions. At this point, I don't know if they're going to send me northeast up the railroad tracks or I'm going to be making that turn. But I'm just kind of listening to get an idea of how the flow is going. And then as it gets closer to the aircraft in front of me, which I know is a high-wing Cessna, then I'll know that I'm kind of coming next after I see what turn that aircraft makes.
Detail Bonanza, half-mile southwest of Fisk, turn right. I need you to slow down. You're following a tail dragger. You're going to join the east-west road. If you can't put the gear down, slow down for me. The tail dragger that's on the east-west road, 126.6. Good job, Detail Bonanza. That was good. Got my low wing that's right over top of Fisk right now on the railroad tracks. Monitor tower 118.5. Make sure you stay at 1,800 feet before you turn the downwind. Detail Bonanza, nice job. Don't catch that airplane in front of you. The tower will send you around probably, maybe. And monitor tower 126.6. Hope everybody's having a great day, a great time out there.
All right, we're inside Ripon.
It's fantastic. We'd love to see you when we get
Hit
here.
the Fisk, and then they'll break us off one way or the other.
1,800, 90 knots, 2,300, 135, and lane at 27 and 36 over to Oshkosh.
Let's get a little more space.
Cherokee type, half-mile southwest Fisk, rock your wings.
So at this point, there's a V-tail Bonanza that just made the turn to the east. He's heading straight for the runway. And behind him was another Bonanza, not a V-tail. And that one is now heading up the railroad tracks. Coming up over Fisk right now, about to get his assignment, is a Piper Cherokee. Not the one that I told you to keep an eye on, but just so we are all on the same page, that's what's happening on screen right now.
Good rock, Cherokee type, turn right, join the east-west road. You're going to be a left base entry to runway 36. Start the right turn for me, Cherokee type. There it is, that's good, great. Everybody's doing a great job. It's a mile in trail, nose to tail. We need everybody right over top of the railroad tracks. If you're between Ripon and Fisk, it needs to be like the taxiway center line, the runway center line, and I'm not your CFI, but I might holler at you if I see you off the center line. I know my CFI yells at me all the time for not being on center line. Oshkosh lane runway 27 and 36. Make sure that you're familiar with these pages in the notice. We're doing the Endeavor transition. We got a high wing retractable half-mile south of Fisk and rock your wings. Good rock. Continue northeastbound over the railroad tracks. You're going to runway 27. Don't forget to put the gear down and make sure you're at 1,800 feet until the downwind. Yeah, that Cessna retract that's right over Fisk right now. Do me a favor, turn right to about 100 heading or so. Join that east-west road for runway 36. Centurion, maybe. Yeah, there you go. Start that turn for me to the right.
So that's a high-wing Cessna. It's a Cessna 210. Originally was going to go up the railroad tracks. Now he's going to make the turn and join everybody else following that east-west road.
Good Rock RV. Okay, so are you two a flight?
Negative.
Okay, so the RV that saw the RV in front of them rock their wings. You're going to go to the right, join the east-west road. The RV that didn't see an RV in front of them, continue up the railroad tracks. All right, the second RV, you're about a half mile southwest of Fisk right now. Start a right-hand turn for me. Let me see the wing dip. That's perfect. The RV that's right over Fisk right now is going straight up the railroad tracks, 1,800 miles.
So that's actually an RV. In front of him is a Sonics, which I mentioned before. That from the ground, that perspective, similar size, similar shape. The Sonics is going to go up. The RV is turning. So again, I'm kind of building in my head what kind of sequence I've got.
Less than 1 mile.
Crack your wings. Good Rock, you're going to turn right, join the east-west road, and follow that RV ahead of you. 1,800 on the base for runway 36. Nice turn, Bonanza. All right, got a Cirrus about a half mile southwest of Fisk. Rock your wings. All right, Good Rock, Cirrus. You are going to continue up the railroad tracks, not go any faster. Maintain 1,800 until you turn the right downwind to runway 27.
What is this guy doing?
You're northeast of Fisk right now, over the railroad tracks, inbound 118.5. If you're on the east-west road, the Bonanza 126.6. RV type half mile southwest of Fisk. Rock your wings.
Cirrus.
All right, the Cirrus monitor tower 118.5. There's an RV half mile southwest of Fisk. Rock your wings. The low wing half mile southwest of Fisk. Rock your wings. 6.
So I'll pause it there for a minute and talk about that Cirrus. You just heard the controller clear one Cirrus who was coming over Fisk up the railroad tracks to continue. He was following originally a Bonanza who is now heading out to the east. The Cirrus that just passed by me, he is at 2,300 feet. Aircraft that can't maintain the 90 knots, they tell them to fly at a higher altitude at 135 knots. The rest of us are at 1,800 feet, flying at 90 knots or sometimes slower than that. You can see in my voice I'm a little bit annoyed by that aircraft, and coming up, that aircraft, he's going to have to get down to our altitude, and to do that he's going to have to kind of jump somewhat in front of an aircraft in front of me. You'll see that coming up in a little bit, but I want to make this clear. There was already a Cirrus that you just saw at our altitude. So yes, the Cirrus aircraft can definitely fly this at the 90 knot profile. And my annoyance there is some people will decide, hey, maybe I can get there faster if I fly higher, and somewhat kind of cut the line. But I don't want to say that that's what this individual is doing. I don't know his skill level. I don't know his comfort in the airplane. I don't know how much time he's got in the airplane and how comfortable he is, or they are, flying that aircraft at 90 knots. And that just may be outside their comfort zone. And that's fine. Again, it's our responsibility as pilots to do what we need to do to keep the aircraft and all of our occupants safe and everyone on the ground safe. So I apologize if it seemed like from that video that I am calling this person out as, you know, cutting in line or whatever, and I think I may have done that a little bit in the video. I give the person the benefit of the doubt. They're flying their airplane in the air in the way that they feel comfortable in the airplane, and that is perfectly acceptable. So you do what you do, and they followed the procedure exactly how they're supposed to fly the aircraft at the higher altitude and then come down over Fisk with the controllers.
These procedures, it's in the notice, Endeavor transition. Or as we like to say, to Endeavor and beyond. All right, the RV, it's on the east-west road. Nice job. Enjoy the show. Tower 126.6. Monitor them there. They'll call you out. If you're in between Ripon and Fisk, I need you right over top of the railroad tracks. Railroad tracks should be right underneath the airplane. We want to have it right underneath your windscreen. There's the Bonanza half mile south of Fisk. Rock your wings. It looks like, yeah, there's the rock. Turn right. Join the east-west road. There you go. Nice turn. 1,800 feet.
So right now there's an RV on the east-west road, and there's what he called a bonanza behind
All right,
him.
nice job with that turn out to the east-west road, Bonanza. 126.6, monitor the tower.
All right, Cirrus is going to cut that
Cherokee
guy off.
low wing, half mile south of Fisk, Rocky Rings, Cherokee type. All right, maybe it's Cirrus, half mile southwest of Fisk, Rocky Wings. Coming up right over Fisk right now, low wing, start a right turn right now. I heard the power come in, I mean, you just make the right
So
turn.
that's the Cirrus that's coming down right
All
now.
right, the Cirrus, can you make a right turn out to the road? All right, Cessna, make a right turn. Cessna right over Fisk, make the right turn. That's perfect, good job. The Cirrus is northeast.
All right, we're next.
1800 to turn the downwind, monitor tower 118.5.
So what just happened now, he's sending the Cirrus up that east-west road. You heard him talk to the aircraft in front of him to make the turn to the east-west road, called him a bonanza, and that aircraft rocked his wings and made the turn. However, if you look, that aircraft was actually a PA-28, which is a Cherokee. So right now in my head, what's in front of me out there are some RVs, a couple of bonanzas, and then I have the Cessna right in front of me who's just now about to make that right-hand turn.
The Cessna, that's an excellent turn. Thank you very much for that help. 126.6, monitor the tower. There's a Mooney retrack, half mile south of Fisk, rock your wings. Good rock, Mooney. I need you to put if you can, put the gear down and slow down. There's two Moonies. So the first Mooney, with nobody in front of you, I need you to turn right and join the base for runway 36. The second Mooney, there's another Mooney. If you look out there 11 o'clock.
I'm not a Mooney, but
you coming back to the track.
that's who you meant.
Are you afraid of two Moonies?
Traffic, 4 o'clock, low,
Okay,
0
we'll call you
miles.
out here in a minute.
Okay, so right now, like I said, we've got what he called a bonanza, which is actually November 288 for X-ray. That's the Piper Cherokee. Right behind him, just making that turn, is the Cessna 182, the high wing that I'm following. I knew that I was next. There's no other aircraft in front of me because I see my Cessna making his turn, and I've been following that Cessna for miles now. So when he calls Mooney rock your wings, I know with my gear up, from his perspective, there's not a whole lot of difference from the bottom of the airplane between the Mooney that's behind me and my aircraft. So he initially calls Mooney, I rock my wings, and he tells me to make the turn. Now he's talking to Lima Victor, which is a Mooney behind me. And what's going to happen in just a moment, there's a little bit of confusion here because Lima Victor hears him telling the Mooney to make a turn. What he tells me is, Mooney, with no one in front of you, which is me, because now there's no one in front of me, my Cessna has turned to the east-west road. So I start that turn. Lima Victor hears that, and as you'll hear, I think English is not his first language, and no shame there, no issues there, but a little bit may have been lost in translation for him in terms of hearing the controller say, Mooney with no one in front of you make the turn versus just Mooney make the turn, because as you're going to see in a moment, Lima Victor is going to start his turn at about the same time as me, and he's going to end up getting really tight in behind me. And you'll actually see some video, my camera actually shows him as we proceed eastbound. He's going to be doing some S-turns behind me, trying to keep that spacing, because when I make my turn, he kind of turns the corner a little bit, which cuts in a little bit tight, and that closes up a gap pretty tight on us. Shortly after I make the turn, and then he gets Lima Victor to make the turn and calls me out, you're going to hear him reference me now as the Cherokee in front of you. Don't get too close to that. Because once I made the turn and his perspective was a little bit better, the controller could tell a little bit of the difference between that aircraft and my aircraft and realized, oh, that's a Cherokee with retractable gear and this is a Mooney. So he kind of clarifies that. Now I know for certain that this controller was talking to me when he said Mooney and clarified that. And the reason I know that for certain is because that controller actually reached out to me in the comments and kind of lightheartedly apologized for calling me a Mooney over Fisk when he watched the original Arrival video in there. So again, no fault to the controllers here. They're doing the best job they can based on their vantage point and all that. And again, they do a fantastic job. So just clarifying out kind of what's going on in sequence right now. And again, to clarify what's in my head, What I've heard him turn to the east-west road, which is where I'm now going, are some RVs and some Bonanzas and then the Cessna that's directly in front of me. I have not heard him say anything about a Cherokee in front of me, you know, within 2, 3, 4, 5 aircraft. However, as you're gonna see, and as I've pointed out already, the aircraft in front of me is a Cessna, but the one right in front of him is another Cherokee. It's Cherokee 288 X-ray. And that's where the confusion's gonna happen when we get close to the airport.
All right, there's a Mooney that's south of Fisk. Okay, you're following a Cherokee. Do you see him out there? Talk to me. Low wing over Fisk. Continue over the railroad tracks northeast, bound 27, 1,800 feet, monitor tower 18.5. There's a Mooney with the gear up that's on over the east-west road. Can you hear me? Not catch that airplane in front of him. Slow down if you can, put the gear down, but I need you to build in space with that Cherokee in front of you. We have Cherokee. Left Cherokee. The Cherokee over the east-west road 126.6.
26.6.
Golf Alpha, don't set it down.
All right, gears down.
Airborne all the way to the yellow dot tower.
Power, keep that power, Golf Alpha. Keep it up.
Hold space. All right.
And just verify from my aircraft.
Now we're just
runway 36 right on the red square. 36 right, red square, clear to land. Tail dragger on 36 left, make that left turn. RV type, make your base turn. Turn left now. Direct to the purple dot, yellow dot, clear to land. And nice job. I see you turning. Keep it up.
gas, undercarriage, and mixture props to go. So we just follow us east-west road. Airport's right there.
Landing on
10 o'clock.
purple dot.
Affirmative, purple or yellow, either one.
I've got the chart up with the dots, so I know which one he wants me on.
Actually, we prefer the yellow, all the way down to the yellow.
Cherokee, south of the tower, start your descent, runway 36 left, yellow dot, clear to land. Land on the right side, keep that speed up all the way down to the end. Welcome to Oshkosh.
All right, he wants me on the yellow dot.
Now you just heard the tower controller tell the Cherokee south of the tower that he's going to land on the yellow dot and he's cleared to land. Because I don't think there's a Cherokee in front of me, I think he's talking to me, and he's not. He's talking to November 2884 X-ray. If you look at the ADS-B screen right now, you see he is pretty much directly south of the tower, pretty close in on the base leg, getting ready to turn final. And he's going to tell him to proceed to the purple dot, which is the near end of the runway, and then land on the yellow dot, which is about halfway down the runway. And that's just to close up a little bit of spacing, because he's already got good spacing between 922 Juliet Bravo, which I believe is an RV in front of him. So he's going to do everything right, and he's going to make his turn. However, because I think the controller is talking to me, because I think I'm the only Cherokee in line right now, when he says proceed to the purple dot, land on the yellow dot, I think he wants me to cut the corner a little bit. At this point, visually, from my perspective, with the Cessna in front of me, I can see pretty substantial spacing. So my thought is he wants to try to close up the spacing between me and him, and I'll let the Cessna land in front of me. But he wants me to kind of cut the corner here a little bit, just to close up spacing so that it's, you know, they can facilitate more aircraft getting in a little bit faster. But this is where I'm making a huge mistake for two reasons. Number one, I'm not the aircraft that he's talking to, but in my mind, I believe it is. But the really big issue here is I'm going to have to cut the corner a little bit on this arrival. And if you look at the notice that's put out by Oshkosh for flying this particular runway approach, there's a big no-fly area, and it's there for an extremely important reason. There is a small runway, and if you look kind of in the middle of the airport, you see on about a 45-degree angle pointed up to the northwest, a little gray strip. That is the landing strip that the ultralights use, the kind of bush planes that do the short takeoff and landings, as well as paragliders and other aircraft. They have a traffic pattern in that area for landing on that runway. And as you're going to see in this video, as I get close to the runway, I'm not only flying right through that traffic pattern, I pass very close to the approach into that runway. Fortunately, this was early in the morning before the full air show has started, and there's no one in the pattern. But that could have been completely different, and this could have been a very disastrous result, which again is why I'm doing this video and why I'm very grateful to the individuals who pointed this mistake out to me and also helped me get this ADS-B data so I could take a deep dive at it and see exactly where my mistake occurred. So let's watch this play out a little bit further.
Cherokee, start that turn now direct to the purple dot. Direct to the purple dot, you clear to land on the yellow dot. And
Again, he's talking to the Cherokee in front of me, not me.
All right, head to the purple dot.
Blackhawk, we see you. Just hold out over the shoreline.
I expect to hold there. I'll get back with you.
Blackhawk.
But here I go, about to make that turn.
Skyhawk south of the tower, start your descent.
Heading to the purple dot, land on the yellow dot.
436 final. Contact 118.5. RV that just landed past the yellow, good job. You're going to make a left turn into the grass. It's been rolled smooth. Welcome to Oshkosh.
I got a Mooney Lima Victor. If you're on frequency, talk to me.
Yes, I descend Lima Victor.
That is
Hey,
south
widen out
40
to
in
the
front.
right. Keep that aircraft off your left side. You're going to go the skinny
All
runway.
right, gas, undercarriage, mixture, props, seat belts and switches.
Again, please, for Mooney.
Yeah, Mooney Lima Victor only. Just widen out a little bit. Keep that other aircraft off your left side. You're going to go the skinny runway.
The yellow dot's about halfway down the runway.
Over the purple, proceed all the way to the purple, over the yellow dot, clear to land. Cessna on the final, you're going to land on the yellow dot on the left side, yellow dot, clear to land. Cherokee crossing the highway, it's going to be runway 36 left, yellow dot, clear to land. For that Mooney, you're staying on the right side, it's going to be the red square on the right side.
Was that 18.5 for the T6 for final lock?
Final lock, it's going to be 118.5.
All right, there's my dots.
For the Cessna short final, just want to verify you're clear to land.
Now he's talking to me, Cherokee, because I just passed over that highway, and I know he's talking to me. I know that the Cessna's coming in on final, and I can see him, and I can see that that gap, it's going to be a little tight. So I'm slowing it back, and he's told him to land on the yellow dot. He's told me, in my mind, right, proceed to that purple dot, then land on the yellow dot. And that all makes sense to me based on what I'm seeing out the window, because by heading for the purple dot, I let the Cessna go by. That opens up a little bit more spacing, and then I'll make a tight turn right at the very end and come down on the yellow dot once he's rolled out past that. So at this point, it's all making sense in my head, but it is getting kind of tight, and so I'm anticipating there may be a need to go around. So that's going to happen. It won't surprise me because I know the spacing's getting a little bit tighter than it should be. But at that moment, I think it's just because the controller thought he had more spacing between me and that Cessna than he wanted, and we were trying to close that up. In actuality, it's just my error of cutting the corner, which I shouldn't be doing. And if you look at my aircraft right now, I'm currently in that no-fly zone. I should be on the south side of that east-west road all the way until I make that final turn, like the guy in front of me just did.
Clear to land. Thanks.
Mooney on the left base, you're going to the right side, Mooney, right side, red square, clear to land.
Now, if you look at the video outside right now, you can see the runway. That's where I'm headed. I'm headed toward the purple dot, and then halfway down is the yellow dot where I'm planning to put the airplane down. If you look at that group of trees to the left, on the other side of that group of trees is the runway that I mentioned that the ultralights and the paragliders and all of that use. And you're going to see as I pass by those trees, you'll see where that runway is. And I am dangerously close in that pattern.
All right, Cherokee, you're cutting in a little bit. Cherokee, put it down on the purple. Cessna over the runway. Keep it up to the yellow. Cherokee, put it down on the purple dot.
Purple dot.
Cherokee, go around. Cherokee, go around.
Going around.
Cherokee, if you can still make it down, you're good, sir.
All right.
Disregard, go around.
Let's go,
Going around.
Mooney.
Mooney, red square, Mooney, red square, clear to land on the skinny runway. Cherokee, go around, start that right turn for the right downwind as soon as possible.
Turning right.
And for the Mooney, you got Blackhawk traffic holding just east of the airport.
Now, this controller's been calling me a Cherokee coming in here. As I got close to the runway, they could see that spacing was going to be too tight. They told me to go around, so I initiated the go around. So initially what I'm doing there is just adding some power and starting to build a little bit of altitude and waiting, find out which direction they want me to go. So initially I'm just going to head runway heading until they tell me to make a turn, and then you'll see the controller's going to tell me to make that right turn. I think that's the supervisor controller working with the other one. You know, they kind of work together to help each other out. So he tells me, go ahead and start that right turn. I start the right turn. But as you're going to hear in the next couple moments, now with, again, line of sight, my belly turned to the controller with the gear up. A couple times he's going to call me a Mooney. Now I am the only aircraft going around, and he'll later just start referencing me as go around aircraft or aircraft my go around. Because again, they're dealing with a ton of aircraft, they're extremely busy, and they're dealing with a massive workload, and they're doing a fantastic job. So the fact that he calls me a Mooney briefly, even though, you know, initially he called me a Cherokee, you can't fault them for that in any way, shape, or form. And nothing the controllers did in any of this is their fault in terms of what I've done. Even if the controller told me, and he was talking to me to, you know, proceed to that purple dot, I still know and need to know that I have to stay out of that transgression zone, out of that no-fly area, which is where that traffic pattern. I have to be mindful of that because I'm the pilot, and ultimately it's my responsibility to keep myself and everyone else around me safe. So again, not pointing any fingers whatsoever at any controllers for any kind of calls or any kind of confusion. What I'm trying to simply do is point out the factors that led to me doing what I did, because I want everyone to learn from it. Take away as much as you can from this. So let's watch the go around and we'll finish this up.
Blackhawk East, I got a Mooney and making a right turn to the downwind.
Eyes on for Blackhawk.
Blackhawk.
Go around, you're going to be on the skinny runway. You're going to enter the right downwind for the skinny runway, okay? Go around.
Going around, yep. Enter.
Blackhawk, hold that altitude and come over towards Papa 2. To the west side, keep that altitude across the runways to Papa 2. And from my go around, runway 36 right on the red square, you're clear to land.
Okay, 36 right, red square.
High power to don't take off. Just give me a good speed down the runway all the way.
All right, gas, undercarriage, mixture, props, switches, coming around, red square.
And from my go around, start your base now. Just verify 36 right, red square, clear to land. Keep the speed up down the runway. Got a high speed down it.
36 right, red square, clear to land.
Speed up, all the way down, all the way down.
You got it.
Oshkosh Tower, white suit, demo, Fond du Lac.
RV just south of the tower is going to be runway 36 right, red square. Right now we're going to the right side. We're going to the right side. Remember, if you're landing the right side, you're landing on or after the red square. Keep that speed up. Keep that speed up. Mooney, I need more speed. Come on, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. I got traffic landing behind you.
All right, put it down on the skinny runway. Over the green square now. Put it down, put it down.
Going down.
Blackhawk, 36 at Papa 2, clear to land. Papa 2. 36 left at Papa 2, the big one. 36 left, Papa 2.
Skyline south of the tower, runway 36 right on the red square, you're clear to land. Remember to keep that speed up all the way to the end.
White suit, demo.
Turn final now. Verify turning final now. South of the tower. Turn final right side. 36 right. Red square. Clear to land.
RV very short final. All the way up to the red square. All the way up to the red square. Power, power, power. You're getting a little low there. Keep that power going all the way to the red square. Turn is final. You're doing great back there. Following the guy on short final. The red square clear to land.
All right, so there it is. First of all, I'd like to sincerely thank the individuals. There were 3 individuals that pointed out the mistake that I made. When they first posted their comments, I tried to explain back, no, I was told to proceed to the purple dot, etc. I wasn't trying to cut the corner or anything like that. And again, in my mind, did not know that there was another Cherokee out in front of me because I heard it called a Bonanza and I couldn't see that aircraft that far out. So I just didn't have on my radar that they'd be talking to any other Cherokee but me. But that's my mistake. Because again, even though I thought he was talking to me, I still needed to remember that there is that no-fly area. So thanks so much to those individuals for pointing it out, and also thank you to them for sharing their concern. I know at least one of the three of them does a lot of flying in that smaller runway that I pointed out for the ultralights and the other aircraft. And, you know, the whole idea behind doing this video is to raise awareness. Again, I'm taking full responsibility for the mistake that I made that rests solely on my shoulders. I'm only pointing out what led to the mistake because it can happen to anyone. Thankfully, no one was hurt. There weren't any aircraft in the pattern that early morning. Thank God. As we all know, later in the week, there was an incident in that pattern at Oshkosh that cost several people their lives. And I thank God that I did not create a similar incident with someone else. So I'm very grateful that that didn't happen, and extremely grateful for the individuals who pointed out my mistake flying this Arrival. And I hope you all can take away something from that. If you decide to fly into Oshkosh, or if you fly in there on a regular basis each year, just something else to be mindful for, right? We have that notice that shows all the different important procedures for each different runway, and extremely important that we pay attention to all the details in there. I will say that I had never flown in on that approach. I've come in on the east-west runway before, 927. This is the first time that I flew that base to final turn for runway 36 left. And while I had the frequency up and I kind of knew where I was going to be exiting the runway and all of that, and I knew that there was that no-fly area there, that was not foremost in my mind as much as it should have been when I got the call for the turn. And I think, you know, maybe part of that is just kind of the excitement of, hey, you know, I'm almost there. I've got the Cessna in front of me. He's talking to me now to make my turn. But I, you know, should have had some little bells go off that, you know what, he just talked to me about going direct, but I haven't heard him talk to the Cessna yet and give him a clearance to land. So that should have raised a little bit of an alarm bell, or a little bit of a question mark in my mind there. To put my situational awareness a little bit more heightened. So again, you know, just wanted to point this out. I'd like to raise awareness of it. Remember that when we fly into Oshkosh, while there are tens of thousands, you know, what you might call normal airplanes or typical airplanes, there are a variety of other aircraft that fly in there, including helicopters and gyrocopters, light sport aircraft, and ultralights, and things of that nature. And a lot of those are less maneuverable and sometimes harder to see as well. So we need to be mindful of all those other aircraft, where they are in relation to where we're going in, and just make sure that we're following that procedure to the letter so that we keep Oshkosh safe for everyone and continue to enjoy this year after year. Again, my sincere thanks to the individuals that pointed out my error. My absolute sincere thanks to all the controllers who work to make Oshkosh something that we can do like this every year. It's unparalleled with anything else that is done in general aviation as far as a fly-in goes, the volume of traffic they deal with, the way they separate aircraft, both bringing them in as well as launching them back out of the airport. They do an absolutely amazing job. And a huge, huge thanks to all the volunteers, everyone that works so hard to make Oshkosh a success each and every year. Please feel free to comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this video. If you think there's anything else that I may have missed out on or anything else I should point out, happy to respond to that and take a look. Thanks again so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.